Hi you guys, it's Susan. Welcome back. I've got a fun tutorial for you today. We're going to be working with Distress Oxide Inks. Going to do some ink smushing and layering. That's what these things are great for, but also going to do a little bit of watercoloring. So let's get started. I've cut a piece of watercolor paper to 4 by 5¼ inches. The colors I'm going to use are Faded Jeans, Fossilized Amber, Peeled Paint, Spiced Marmalade, Fired Brick, and then I use Walnut Stain for some sponging later. So here I am just squishing, take the ink pad and just smush it onto your craft mat, spritz it with some water, and then just start pouncing that paper into the ink until you're happy with what you see. And then this is really important. You must dry all the ink between layers before you add more or you get mud. I wanted to keep this video relatively short, so I cut out a lot of the drying time. I didn't film that. I cut that out of the video for you because, basically you take your heat tool, you hold it to the paper, move it around until it's completely dry. And then you go here, like you see me doing, adding more ink to the mat, spritz it with some water, and pounce that paper again. You're going to do this as many times as you like. There's no limit. You can just keep building the colors. That's what's amazing about this ink, is that it layers. You can build up your layers, right? It's a mixture of water reactive dye ink and pigment ink. So it's like the best of both worlds. You've got the dye ink and then that pigment ink that sits on top there. I think that's what gives it the matte, sort of chalky finish. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what that does. So that's the last layer of color, and I'm just drying it up, and then we're going to turn it into a card. The first thing I'm going to do is take some walnut stain, Distress Oxide ink again, and blend that around the edges. I like how it finishes it off and gives it it's like when I was coloring it as a kid. I always had to outline all my images in a black marker. Same idea. I like how this gives it an outline, gives it a finish. Next, I used a little coffee ring stamp that's part of the Coffee Understand stamp set by Picket Fence and the walnut stain ink, and just stamped a few of those around the paper. Using VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink and a stamp positioning tool, I stamped the Jill Girl from Picket Fence Studios onto the panel. And now what I'm going to do is, with a water brush and all the same inks that I used to make the background, I'm going to color in the Jill Girl, color in the image. I like the way this image looked on the panel, but I wanted it to stand out a little bit more, but not too much. So I decided to use the same colors as I used for the background panel, but by painting it on, it gets a more solid look to it rather than the layered look that I had on the background. Now I dried the panel here because I decided to change out the color of the scarf. I didn't like the yellow, it wasn't working for me. So I put some blue down there and colored it in with blue, and then I was much happier with it. Once I've dried the panel, I put it back into my stamp positioning tool where I left the stamp from when I originally stamped it, ink it up again, re-stamp it, and that makes all those black lines come alive again. It's a nice, crisp, clean image. What I've done is layered it onto a piece of black cardstock that was just 1/8 of an inch bigger all around. And then I'm going to add that to a white card base that was leaving another 1/8 inch of white that you'll see all the way around. Little tip here, when you're trying to line it up, just line up the bottom 3 corners there. You see how the bottom left and the right there, it all is the same. So when I push it down, it's going to be the same at the top. Hope that makes sense. I've had this white paint pen in my stash for quite some time and I've never used it. So today I pulled it out, I made the mug look just bright white, and then I added some polka dots to the mittens. For some reason, I think mittens should have polka dots. I think it's cute. So the sentiment is from, let's see, Coffee Break stamp set from My Favorite Things. And I stamped that onto some white paper, cut each word apart, stamped or layered that onto black paper, and then using craft foam I added it to the card base. So thanks so much for joining me today. I had a blast making this card and I hope you enjoyed it as well. And I hope you give this technique a try. It's a lot of fun. Take care and I'll see you soon. Bye.